Tom is the next Bob Marley, or Tom is the next Bounty Killer, or Tom is the next this. I am the first Vybz Kartel. Okay. I can't be the next this or the next that. I got to be me.
Once upon a time, the reggae music community witnessed the rise of a phenomenal reggae artist, Vybz Kartel. But now, things have gone so bad, and all of his best moments are captured in prison as he yearns for freedom. He is lost in the aftermath of tragedy, pain, and unforeseen circumstances that unfold minute by minute. But while he awaits the year of liberty, his cellmate has not ceased to give a rundown of the darkness that overclouds the reggae singer. This is the heart-wrenching life of Vybz Kartel. Brace up as we uncover some painful moments. The rough struggle to honor
the poor of Dancehall, yeah, because she's from Barbados, and when we used to tour Barbados back in the early days, she was just in the audience like everybody else. Then again, Vybz Kartel come with a club.
Born Adidja Azim Palmer on the 7th of January, 1976, his life unravels a plague of unusual experiences. It beats his imagination why a young boy has to go through struggles not of his age, yet he plowed through it all. His years as a young child were a flex of muscle and strength, yet he wasn't going to let the vicissitudes of life sweep him off his feet. He grew up in a wooden house with a zinc roof, and every day he was forced to see life from the bright side, despite the stress it brought him. His neighborhood was a feast of the titans, and only those who could fight back were given a trophy. And for Adidja, fighting through storms was his daily routine. At the age of 6, his family moved to Portmore City, situated just outside Kingston, across the bridge. His new environment gave him a platform to put all his experiences to work. Even though it was nothing compared to what he was looking for, he was so determined to grind through the dirt that life threw at him. His father meant the best for him and his siblings, but no matter how hard he tried, life wouldn't agree to his terms. This eventually shaped Adidja's life, and as he grew, he became conscious of his environment, brainstorming ways to improve it. By age 10, Vybz eventually took the bull by the horns and started sneaking out to go to dances, hoping he would make some good dough at the end of the day. But each day came with troubles of its own. Notwithstanding, he was ready to hit the hardest note while grinding. His father didn't like this idea of his. Nevertheless, his mom supported him through all the hard times. She saw the future ahead and was ready to take a bullet if it was just the price for setting him on that path. Over time, he developed a passion for good music, and each time he tried to call it quits, something drew him closer, and when he could not hold on any longer, he skipped fighting it. Within a short while, Vybz began writing his own lyrics, ensuring he channeled every deep hunger for music in a positive direction. This instilled a sense of humility within him, and as time passed, he became the best version of himself. This passion of his continually grew, and with the likes of Ninja Man and Shaba on his mind, he kept firing on 4 cylinders. Before he knew what was happening, music became his only lifeline, and Vybz, who was far from becoming a voice, began to shine on his path. His diligent pursuit of music began to pay off, and nothing was ever going to stop him from churning out greatness. Vybz had a mind of his own, and for anything he set out to do, the drive from within consistently placed him on the right path. He gave his all to music, not just for himself alone, but because he was ready to prove a point to those who had looked down on him and his family. While in school, he made the most of every musical opportunity he had, and every avenue was a platform to showcase what was deeply seated within him. Every term gave him the leverage to bring forth his talent to the public, and he never fell below expectations. He became the talk of the campus, so much so that he was left with no choice but to leave the life that was right at his doorstep. This pursuit of Vybz began at a young age, and as things started to fall into place for him, he could see the aftermath of his own becoming. Despite being from the shabby hoods of Jamaica, he never let his background define his persona, and that gave him the tenacity to hold on until he got what he wanted, and truly he did. Ladder of greatness.
I repeat that them song they are 20 years old, you know, Mr. Miller. Them song they are 18 years old, 21 years old. And that the kids them have Vybz too.
Vybz's rise to prominence should and must be understudied. How he surpassed all odds right in front of him to become one of the best reggae artists remains a mystery that many have yet to unfold. His rise demonstrates commitment, sheer determination, and resilience that many of his contemporaries wouldn't dare navigate. His career began in his teenage years, and as he grew, he transformed his craft into a sweet melody that many couldn't resist. Poised with a zeal for greatness, Vybz initiated his career in 1993 with his recording Love, Fat Woman, which was a product of Alvin Reed's label One Heart, using the moniker Adi Banton, an homage to Buju Banton. After his first release, Vybz realized his authenticity was second to none, and even though many thought he would fade away quickly, he believed he was meant for more. It wasn't long before his songs became anthems all over the world, and fame came knocking on his door like never before. He became so well known that he received an invitation to join the group Vybz Kartel. This group was a 3-member group that brought solace to the reggae world, and every piece they churned out showed how much their craft was built on quality. Their songs were marked by timeless lyrics, so much so that, however they crafted them, they resonated with everyone. They dropped a few hits together, showcasing the kind of chemistry that is rare in reggae music. But just when everyone was hooked on their craft, news came that shattered the hearts of their fans. The group split without any iota of regret, and everyone went their separate ways. Though nobody saw this coming, Vybz took it upon himself that he was going to make music alone, regardless of the constraints he was surrounded by at the moment. Eventually, he rode on the wings of his decision and got the gears rolling without any further hesitation. By this time, he was known as one of the 3 members of the group Vybz Kartel, and so changing the name was going to cost him a lot. So he retained the name Vybz Kartel and went on to churn out hits that redefined reggae music at the time. His musical prowess didn't waver. He consistently showed that he was capable of navigating the road of a solo artist. Significant achievements marked his time in the group, as he was responsible for writing over 30 songs that revolutionized the reggae music world, including the timeless hit Gal Clown. He eventually became a protege of Bounty Killer, and after leaving the group, his fame took a different turn, bringing him a crazy fan base he wouldn't have had while in the group. Reflecting on his years in the group was a no, as his solo career brought out the truly best in him. 2003 came with a trailer full of goodies for Kartel, and before he knew what was going on, the world was singing his songs word for word. He was no longer a Jamaican artist, but one who had inscribed into the hearts of everyone a melody that was at its best. Kartel brought the best out of himself this year, so that anyone who came in contact with his music had no choice but to love every bit of it. His songs were just proof that many were destined for greatness, as he effortlessly dropped hit after hit. Nevertheless, the year didn't end well for him, as he got involved in a brawl that almost ruined his career. The year wrapped up with a pre-planned on-stage clash with Ninja Man at the annual Dancehall festival, held in his hometown of Portmore. It was a bizarre incident that took him unawares and almost crippled him in no small way. What started as a subtle play turned out to be violent, and even though he didn't see it coming, it took a toll on him. The violence was not from Ninja Man himself, but from Kartel and his crew members, who humiliated Ninja Man so severely that he threw punches at them. It was nothing special to behold with his eyes, and even though Kartel apologized later, it spoke nothing good about his persona. Although his manager didn't believe he was at fault, Kartel did the right thing and apologized to the singer. 4 days later, they buried the hatchet amicably, but not without coming out publicly to resolve the issue. They appeared before the press to announce their settlement and possibly end every ongoing brawl that had turned into something unbelievable. Shortly afterward, Kartel gave his all to his craft, signing an undertaking with seriousness to give good music back to back. Then he joined his UK-based label Greensleeves Records amidst his ongoing career, and he released several albums that paved the way for the reggae community of yesteryears, including Up to the Time, More, Up to the Time, and JMT. As time went on, he recognized the need for his own label and didn't hesitate to create it. Fame to Glory.
With the help of prominent criminal defense and human rights attorney Isaac Buchanan, he kept fighting, taking the case all the way to the Privy Council.
Vybz continued to write confident stories through his music. When he saw the time was right, Kartel teamed up with his business partner and producer, Ainsley Not Nice Morris, to launch Adijaheim/Not Nice Records. They formed a superb team, confidently producing great music that has stood the test of time in the reggae community. This was a long-held desire of his, and when it came to pass, he knew he was on a speed lane to success, and nothing was ever going to stop his shine. Their partnership produced phenomenal results, and not just that, they gave the reggae community timeless hits that were rare at the time. After quitting his partnership with Bounty Killers Alliance in 2006, Kartel found a niche in Portmore Empire, a group of dancehall DJs and singers from his Portmore neighborhood that he signed to his newly founded Adijaheim/Not Nice Records. This wasn't just some roadside record, but one that resonated within everything he felt inside of him. Moreover, he was not doing it with some abstract fellows, but with those he grew up with in the neighborhood. With his homeboys like Popcaan, Tommy Lee, Blake Rhino, and Ja Vinci, doing music didn't have to stress him out. Together, with their creativity, they did justice to several genres, a feat that was uncommon in their time. Kartel's pursuit of greatness didn't let him sit idle. He constantly sought ways to put himself in the public eye. In 2008, Corey Todd, an American businessman, struck a pretty deal with Vybz Kartel and signed him to an endorsement deal for Vybz Rum. This deal was a good one, and just as he had always done, he gave his best so that he could enjoy everything that was placed in his care. Their relationship eventually grew stronger, and within a short while, they transitioned from casual business partners to close business partners. As a result of their acquaintance, they launched Daggering Condom and Street Vybz Rum, which eventually became one of the business ventures in Jamaica at that time. Within a short while, Todd purchased Jamaica's most popular dancehall nightclub, Asylum, which became the venue for their weekly event, Street Vybz Thursday. The show was heard from far and near, and before they could say jack, several partners began to look at the duo so that they could strike a deal with them. However, in a devastating turn, Street Vybz was halted due to a disagreement that arose between Kartel and Todd. It was so strong that they couldn't hold it any longer and ended their stay abruptly. But in a shocking move of events, they resumed their relationship in 2012 after going their separate ways in 2011. By this time, it was clear that their partnership would yield tremendous results, and as it did, they reaped the benefits of their endeavor. Kartel's music continued to speak wonders. Nevertheless, he lived a life of controversies that almost robbed him of his peace of mind. He was never a quiet singer, as portrayed most times in his music. Controversies took up much of his life, and he was really not concerned about it. In 2004, his nomination for the UK MOBO Awards was withdrawn for avoidable reasons, but because of his stubborn persona, he kept a bodily expression that did more harm than good. It was deduced by the Council of Elders that his music was laced with homophobic content that didn't portray a good light, and so it was withdrawn. But to everyone's surprise, the withdrawal meant nothing to him, as he was barely concerned about the whole issue that was going on at the time. He blatantly shrugged it off and continued his musical journey as if nothing had happened, and in no distant time, he was in the eyes of everyone again. 6 years later, he endorsed the Reggae Compassionate Act, a petition organized by the Peter Tatchell Foundation and LGBT advocacy groups to oppose homophobia in music. This wasn't like the usual petition. It raised eyebrows, and even in the reggae community, it raised eyebrows in no small ways. Fans became agitated by his recent behavior and wondered if he was now part of the LGBT community, but he chose to hide under the disguise of good music. Nevertheless, Kartel maintained his fast lane and continued his musical journey. The more people talked, the more he used their thoughts as leverage to ride on to greater glory. As time went on, many lent their voices to his incessant attitude, but it made no difference. It even reached the point where Rolling Stone couldn't take it anymore, but lent its voice to the misbehavior that flowed from the life of the reggae dancehall singer. They once accused him of promoting a taboo of oral intimacy by singing about blowjobs, an ordeal that the Jamaican authorities were fighting so hard to erase from their environs. It was something that breached the moral conduct of the community, and they found him wanting on many grounds. They frowned at it wholeheartedly, and according to them, Kartel was destroying the efforts made to tackle the cancer that was already plaguing the country at the time. In September 2011, the National Communications of Guyana banned Vybz Kartel from the airwaves because his lyrics were faulted on many grounds. It didn't meet the community's standard. It was criticized on several grounds, with many reasons spelled out one after the other. This wasn't the first time such actions were taken, but because Vybz had a mind of his own, he did what mattered most to him and cared less about what people said. He was always landing himself in trouble, and every problem was minor in comparison to the one that would happen later. This had now become an established way of life for Kartel, and even though his music was known worldwide, he never made a conscious effort to distance himself from controversies. Kartel never listened to warnings from concerned friends, but continued in his mischievous ways with no iota of regret. But little did he know that darkness was looming just around the corner, the darkness underneath fame.
For the Jamaicans' social state right now, because they all grew up watching Rambo and Commando and Cabra and Schwarzenegger, who incidentally is now the governor of America, of our state in America.
Right from yesteryears, Vybz wasn't an ordinary reggae artist. He touched lives through his music. Yet he had one stigma that he couldn't erase from his life. He lived rent-free in the hearts of many, but fell into the bad books of many. He fell off with many artists, and not just the kind of brawl that ends in a minute, but one that lingered for years. Mavado was one of his greatest enemies, and for many years they went back and forth with their differences. It started back in 2006 when a public feud ensued between Kartel and his former collaborator, Mavado, solely on the basis that Vybz over-publicized his departure from the Dancehall conglomerate group. At first, it seemed like something peripheral, but over time, it evolved into something that neither party could control. The reasons for the constant agitations were yet to be unraveled. Their way of life revealed a clash in personal convictions that were antagonistic to each other. As time went on, the feud grew stronger, to the point where several diss tracks were released by both parties, pouring out their grievances in no small measure. While many were waiting for their differences to be settled amicably, the feud took a devastating turn that surprised all and sundry. The diss tracks revealed what they felt inside, unleashing point by point the anger enveloped in dark rhythms and lyrics that never meant well for the duo. By this time, it was evident that neither singer was going to call it quits anytime soon, and all efforts by concerned fans to reconcile them fell on deaf ears. A call for peace was sponsored, hoping the reggae artists would embrace it positively. However, they were draped in pretense, which only showed in the public eye, but behind the scenes, it was a tug of war that couldn't be resolved. Their minds were already fixed on revenge, but in the public eye, they played a fast one that fans barely noticed. In March 2007, the fellows appeared in a police-overseen press conference, publicly emphasizing the need to end their rift. But little did they know that the duo wasn't ready for any peaceful talks. Instead, they used that avenue as leverage to propagate their evil desires while in disguise. All they wanted was to be off the cameras, and honestly, they did achieve their aim. This fast trick they played didn't dawn on them until 2008, when the whole thing played out. They released several diss tracks tackling their feud from their various perspectives in an attempt to gain satisfaction. They didn't just reveal what they felt for each other, but carried their fans along in their feud. By this time, it was clear to everyone that their peace talks were merely a camouflage and a sham. They were only a public relations exercise, not a genuine effort. Things eventually deteriorated to the point where both parties had their own factions, each ready to strike their target at any given time. These armies of theirs were brutal, so much so that with a single command, they could raise a whole building. In 2009, things went so bad that they could no longer hide their disdain for each other, and all they wanted was revenge to fulfill the rage and anger locked up in their hearts. This whole scenario dominated the Jamaican media, and, to a certain extent, Jamaican culture, with the two artists' factions, Gaza, Kartel, and Gully, Mavado, being adopted by Jamaican youths. The rivals were not ready to accept peace. Things only got messier by the day, and what ensued next was a total disaster that no one believed would ever come to an end. Violence became the order of the day, and these fracas took their frustration to the streets, demonstrating with no iota of regret. All they wanted was a victor. Since it wasn't forthcoming, they continued their terror, hoping that one day a victor would emerge from their brawl. It got out of hand until authorities had to step in to at least calm the tension. On the 8th of December, 2009, Kartel and Mavado had a one-on-one conversation with the Jamaican Prime Minister Bruce Golding, hoping that he would end their differences once and for all, but all his efforts were like pouring water on a camel's back. The Prime Minister saw the need to reconcile both of them, but despite his efforts, everything fell on a dead end. Their stubborn feud continued, already causing chaos, and the Prime Minister was determined to set them on the right path to avoid causing more trouble in the already troubled inner city of Kingston. After the first attempt by the Prime Minister failed, he sought an alternative, hoping this time things would be strengthened, but the more he tried, the more they camouflaged their facial expressions. He made arrangements for them to perform on stage together, which they eventually did. However, it didn't change anything, nor did it improve the situation. They performed together as a sign of goodwill, but locked up in their hearts were demons waiting for the least opportunity to jump out. The concert, initially sponsored by one of Kingston's notorious drug lords, Christopher Dudu's Coke, failed to fulfill its purpose. Instead, it only sparked a momentary surge in the hearts of fans and the reggae music community. Other attempts were made by those who cared to make things work between the duo, but the whole issue would not be solved anytime soon. They were billed to perform in a unity concert in March 2010 in Barbados, but this was later cancelled by the Barbadian Prime Minister David Thompson. It was clear that the feud would not end anytime soon, so it continued with no actual date set for a proper reconciliation. In the middle of this, Kartel didn't hold back his musical prowess, but continued churning out hits that topped several charts. In 2009, his song featuring Jamaica's Queen of Dancehall, Spice, debuted on the Billboard Hot 100 Singles chart, and Dollar Sign was in regular rotation on urban radio stations in the US. It was something he envisioned, but happening at a time he least expected was a testament that he was a genius when it came to making good music. His 2010 single Clarks was one of his biggest international successes, remaining at the top of reggae singles and gaining the most radio plays in North America for 40 weeks. A weight of past mistakes.
And that was also a terrible day too, because it's fun when she comes, but it's sad when she leaves.
The life of Kartel wasn't only as bad as it appeared, but he was also fighting battles that didn't make their way into the media. Fans were shocked to find out that the singer was not only fighting Mavado, but also in unseen battles that held him in no small way. On the 29th of September, Kartel was arrested and placed behind bars for the sole reason of possessing cannabis. Several investigations were launched immediately, as he had been on the target list of many law enforcement agencies that had scores to settle with him. It was a big shock for the reggae singer. Nevertheless, he had brought this upon himself with his unforgiving lifestyle, which portrayed him in a bad light. On the 29th of September, Kartel was arrested and placed behind bars because he had defied the law by possessing cannabis. The law enforcement agencies didn't take it easy with him. Immediately, they launched investigations because, for a while, he had been on their wanted list. The Jamaican Major Investigative Task Force walked through his past, bringing every detail to book with the hope of nipping him in the bud. After many months of crossing the T's and searching through every file of Kartel, he was unfortunately linked to the murder of a Jamaican businessman, Barrington Burton, along with conspiracy to illegal possession of a firearm. In a twinkling of an eye, the life of Kartel changed drastically, not for the better, but for the worse. He was immediately charged with murder, and for the very first time, it dawned on him that he was going to spend forever behind bars. However, after going back and forth with the matter, he was granted bail for the murder of Burton on the 23rd of March, 2012. Yet, he remained in prison for yet another grievous crime that endangered him even more. He was remanded in prison for having a hand in the murder of Clive Lizard Williams of Waterford, St. Catherine. In a shocking twist, Kartel was brought to a point of no recognizable status. He was brought before the jury for the death of Burton, and fortunately for him, he was not found guilty of the murder of Barrington Burton, but remained in prison because he was yet to be cleared for the murder of Clive Williams. Eventually, he was found guilty by an 11-man jury, and his case entered Jamaican history as the longest trial in the history of Jamaica after recording 65 days of back-to-back arguments. The whole world of Kartel crumbled immediately, and on the 3rd of April, 2014, Kartel was sentenced to life imprisonment, one that broke him completely. It was the most significant shock of his life, but what he didn't know was that what would follow next would eventually have a substantial effect on him. Now confined to the walls, he is left to fight the demons associated with prison, and as the days go by, life teaches him deeply the painful lessons of life. It was so bad that his cellmate couldn't hold it in, but revealed the deep ordeal that plummets the reggae singer during the late hours of thin silence. He revealed that Kartel's health deteriorated to the point where what was left of him was a string of life that held him from completely plunging. While in the cell, he revealed he was diagnosed with a disease that almost sent him overboard. He was diagnosed with Graves' disease, a severe thyroid condition that is sapping life out of him minute by minute. According to the cellmate, he had never seen Vybz in such a deplorable condition and feared whether the singer could truly recover from the whole ordeal. To further complicate matters, living conditions were never encouraging, with no access to necessities. Life was more complex there. All he wanted was to find a way out, But since it wasn't coming, he was gradually living in a delusion. One of the scariest nights to witness was when Kartel literally passed out. I thought he was gone, but then his hands moved slowly. That gave me some peace of mind. Kartel brought this upon himself because he refused to abide by the laws of life. While fans are hoping that he eventually comes to terms with the fact that peace is priceless, he is now left to battle with his own demons all by himself, pending when life favors him again. Do you think Vybz Kartel is deserving of freedom, and if so, why? Please let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons, as there are lots of amazing videos waiting for you.